Man, what's with this load time?
Oh my god, hello, and welcome to Chill Touch, where Sarah switched to the right camera just at the nick of time. And Zach, that's what's with this load time, because some of us have a little something called ADHD. You might have heard of it, you ableist fuck. And we build in things like that to help us
Go
help
on.
ourselves.
Yeah. What did I do? I feel like I'm already the edit. I feel like I'm the villain. I'm the villain in record time, but I'm not exactly sure why.
Oh, you questioned the load time of the video on stream. Everyone could hear you.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
I unmuted myself specifically so that people could.
yeah.
I'm just like, we got to upgrade like our RAM, guys. Let's pop open. Let's pop open the back here.
Yeah,
Let's get
no,
some more. Let's
that's-
free up some processing power.
You're right, and I'm sorry. Honestly, I'm being an ableist fuck for accusing you, and I apologize.
Yes, anytime that anyone criticizes someone, it's ableist.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you were not able to do the thing that I wanted you to do.
It's a broad term.
It is.
and you know the thing is, now I'm being ableist, even for starting this as a line of jokes, because I'm diminishing the power of the real problem of ableism.
That is correct.
So
that's the first real thing that's been said so far. Is that
I know it's a problem. Okay, I'm trying to get my lighting here a little better. I don't have my ring light in the room right now. What's up, y'alls? How's it going?
Oh, every day's a struggle.
Thank you, Clint. You took the words out of my mouth.
Not for me. Every day's super easy.
Yeah.
Every day's been since day one. Every single day has been consistently easy.
I mean, does that cause
train with biscuit wheels over there?
Does that cause you a crisis of meaning?
No, it's great.
Shit, it's that easy.
Yeah. If it did, it wouldn't be easy, Sarah.
Don't I know it? Well, I mean, I guess I'm happy for you, bro.
Thanks, dude.
Jeez. Okay.
Have we already run into our lack of structure and topics?
You know, I have a structure. No, Clint, I'm doing my weekly posting a Instagram thing about the stream on stream, so that the first 10 minutes are kind of awkward and I'm distracted. Great. That's professional. So you two can talk about stuff.
Great. Clint,
all right.
Clint, you played Blueprints yet?
You know, if I were to walk 30 feet away, I could probably go find you a set of blueprints.
No. You played the game Blueprints.
No. This week.
That's better. Talk to me about your real blueprints. What are you building?
It is literally the set of blueprints that is the power run for the main floor of Madison Square Garden that I needed to.
Nice for our heist.
Yeah, 100% true. If you wanted to know how you would cut power to a Knicks game,
and I do, because I'm trying to steal.
I do.
Insert Knicks players' shoes, I guess.
I mean, they have very nice shoes. I promise none of them fit you.
Oh, see, I'm trying to get in there to siphon their basketball powers. I have obviously no other reason to get into a basketball stadium but that.
Oh yeah, like the aliens from Space Jam.
That's right. That's the reference. I figured. Look, I'm distracted, so I have to make like nice low hanging fruit casual references.
I wasn't going to denigrate the reference. I was just sort of calling it out to get everyone on board.
I have proudly never seen Space Jam.
Oh, really? What about the new one? You didn't jump into the new Space Jam?
I've seen 0 Space Jams.
None Space Jams. The first one has I Believe I Can Fly. Is that? But now I'm wondering, is that the sort of like? Does that song exist outside of the context of that thing? I believe
it
Like,
was made
was it on
for
the album? Is the
that
question.
movie, wasn't it?
maybe that's what I'm checking right now. It is R. Kelly. Sorry. Yes, it is performed for the soundtrack to 1996 Space Jam. We do have a sort of separating the art from the artist problem with Mr. Kelly, who is currently in prison, should be in prison. What's going on?
Is in prison.
Okay.
Like his egregious crimes aside, if I ever hear somebody talk about the weekend, I call it the freaking weekend. Like there's certain he does have some cultural.
It's the freaking weekend.
like,
He's
the
about to
freaking
have me some
weekend.
fun.
Yeah.
I've heard it's the freaking weekend.
The
I don't know about
freaking
y'all.
weekend.
That's what I've heard too. Apparently, the thing that goes around in office culture is Friday,
Oh, it's Friday.
Friday.
which I think I
No.
deeply hate. But also, if it brings you joy, say it. I guess.
Oh, wait, I'm using the wrong microphone. Does it sound better? Do I
No,
sound
it's
better now?
actively worse.
Actively worse? All right, I'm gonna change.
Yeah, clipping slightly.
Really?
Yeah.
Has it been doing that this whole time?
Nope. Because until you just changed it, it sounded good.
No, I know, but before I was using my laptop microphone.
That one sounds great.
Yeah,
Really?
you sound great.
I'll just use my laptop microphone.
Yeah,
But now
if
this
the
one
chat
sounds-
wants to weigh in on the fidelity of Sarah's
Laptop
vocals.
What's the point of it? What's the point of having a mic?
We have some confirmation from the chat that people are indeed saying Friday.
and they like Friday, and I am once again the villain for not liking Friday.
No. This is my little brother. I can guarantee he does not like Friday.
Sounds like Joseph Kaplan loves Friday and wants to say it all the time.
You heard it here first, folks. Joseph Kaplan trying to force your child to say Friday in school.
Well, when do we?
What is the
bring children?
origin of Friday? Where's Friday coming from?
Zach, everything is about the children.
I think it's Friday, but with the
But with
day
a
switched
yay.
with yay.
Yes, but I promise you that if it is found a
Oh, you think it? You
foothold
think it
in
has you think it has a cultural genesis somewhere?
from whence does it stem?
Let's find out. Better know
Question.
Friday.
While you
Let's see.
search, let me be pedantic for a second. I don't think you have to say from when you say whence, because whence means from where.
You do have to say it, otherwise you sound fucking crazy, and you're wild for suggesting that
Yeah.
you don't. Say it the other way. Say
you
a
have to do
sentence
it with-
using it without from.
Let's see whence it came.
Wild.
No, that is also still technically correct. Although I
Maybe,
would
but it
say,
sounds bad.
redundancy aside, language is defined in usage, and from whence is probably used.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Don't get all descriptivist on me, Clint.
I
I thought that's what this fucking stream was.
Yeah,
I'm having
we exist to bully you, Sarah. Was that
I'm
not
having
clear?
fun being a pedantic nerd, and you can't come in here with nothing means anything.
Saying nothing means anything is fully your job.
Speaking
I know.
of, you're ready for your show on Saturday.
Yes, I'm ready for my show, Clint. I haven't thought about it at all.
Fantastic.
I haven't looked back at the PowerPoint. I
You
haven't
did
been
it,
working on
but
this
you
script.
did it.
I already did it, so that means
So
it's
what's-
guaranteed to go well again.
That's true.
No, that's
I love
just actually I'm lying. If anybody happens to be watching this and is considering buying tickets, I'm joking. I have been thinking about the show. It will be worth your money.
Well, there's
Yeah.
I mean, knowing how absolute seat of your pants you were for the first one, which was can we agree, wild success,
I
runaway
agree.
success.
Chug a true success. Train.
Yeah.
Just have by virtue of having done it once, you are 100% more prepared for the second show.
That is true. That is true. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. My head's in a little bit of a weird space because up until 9:57, I had been drafting an open letter to my high school community about an alum from my school named Wesley Hunt, who's a
Okay.
congressman on the judicial committee,
Okay.
who
is cool and chill and has no problematic views.
no.
and everything's going great.
He's actually really bad. He was one of the Republicans last night who voted no on the most milquetoast of Congresswoman Jayapal's amendments to the budget that would say ICE is not allowed to use money from this budget to detain or deport U.S. citizens, which
Right.
is already the law.
Right.
And she was just like, yeah, but they're doing it anyway. So can we just reaffirm that that's the law? And he, along with every other Republican on the Judicial Committee, voted no. And he's an alum of my very small private school. He would not be a congressman without the specific funding and platforming awarded him by the community of my small private school back in Houston. And so I've been writing this letter. So apologies, audience, if it takes me a minute to smoothly transition into chill
Right.
comedy mode.
So what happened was when I texted you at 9:57 being like, is this at 10? And you were like, yes, all caps. That
Yes.
was when you remembered that this was a thing.
No, I knew this was a thing. That's when I remembered what time it was.
Gotcha,
Because the last time I'd looked at the clock, it was 8:23.
Wow. Okay, so you were in a workhole.
That's just how my brain works. I'm either
No, me too.
yeah. So I was
We can
deep in-
safely assume moments
deep in a
before
time
every
hole.
stream is like the Swedish chef in the kitchen. there are things flying.
Have you seen The Office? Have you seen The Office behind me?
Ernie Furby drift to form a litter to me Harry Honestly, it's good.
It's good. It's good. I should have done it. Okay, I'll read it and I'll have you read it in that voice, Zach, and then maybe that'll convince the wealthy families of my private school to stop giving this guy money.
Just put a little bit of it in the chat and I'll do it real quick.
Yeah?
Not the whole thing, because I'm going to make a mockery of it, and I'm sure it makes good and salient points. But I do want to do the Swedish Chef voice, so yes, put it just a little bit of it in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I'll pick a nice, serious.
Swedish Chef is a perfect. Have you seen the Muppets clip? And if you're watching this in the chat, you need to Google this immediately. There's the Muppets have a sketch that is the song "Oh Danny Boy" being sung by Swedish Chef, Animal, and Beaker. the three essentially non-linguistic Muppet characters, and it's perfect.
Of course it is. That's incredible.
All right. Here, let me.
Can you put it in our chat, or do you have to?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the. I'm gonna put it in the little private chat.
Are we?
Okay.
What is this? A preview of an open letter?
Not but the feed is.
Oh wait,
is,
let's see. Okay, beyond.
I'll tell you. First sentence is a banger.
Weirdly
this isn't the
Under here, do me care because her Weasley Herbert here be the period. And it's the matter to be Herbert Weasley Herbert. Oh my God, Sarah, that's so much.
You can just read as much as you want.
And I will later. Maybe Weasley Herbert and Herbert once had a legitimate reason to permit a Herbert's murder. a reason to
All right, that's amazing. Yeah.
I'm going to read this later, but thank you, Sarah, for doing that. It's actually really hard to put normal English into the Swedish Chef voice.
Yeah, I was really impressed.
What's the name of your elitist enclave, Sarah?
My high school was St. John's School in Houston.
John's. You're not a St. Mark's. You were a St.
No. St. Mark's was our some of our sports rivals.
Gotcha. That's I run into marksmen on occasion, and they are among the people who you meet no matter what age who want to tell you what high school they went to.
Yeah, St. Mark's is like the Dallasified version of St. John's, which means it's worse in every way.
Marksman is pretty bad. A pretty bad thing to refer to yourself as.
Our mascot is the Mavericks, although that only changed the year before I started in 6th grade at the school. It had previously before that it was the Rebels, and for the first few decades of the school's existence, at football games, the mascot, Johnny Reb, would don his Confederate uniform and ride around on a horse on the football field, flying a Confederate flag.
And then get shot by a Union soldier and lose the war, is how that story ends. Hi, Jill.
That's not what I was taught in high school.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was... St. John's is a really interesting school because it's actually a very good school. Like, I got a legitimately amazing education there, and like the teachers of St. John's and the history we're taught are not like that. but the money behind St. John's is, and so it exists in this like strange tension. And I don't know what it's like now, but I've always been impressed by how well like the school part of it has been able to assert autonomy and as far as how they educate kids.
They're a private school, yeah.
It's a private school, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Currently, Ted Cruz's kids go there, and our other most
Really-
famous
really big
alums.
up again.
We have two other famous alums besides Wesley Hunt. We have what's her name? The Theranos lady briefly went to St. John's for a couple of years. Yeah.
Elizabeth. No,
Elizabeth Holmes?
Yeah,
Or-
Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah. And then our most famous alum is Wes Anderson, who actually filmed
pretty good.
Rushmore at my school. Yeah, that's our main claim to
that
fame.
rules. That's
Yeah.
great. I love
Um,
Rushmore.
Before
That's-
Wesley Hunt. at least,
That's quite a that's a spread.
right?
Of
It's
types
an
of
interesting
people.
trio of people
Yeah,
who went to this school.
it's good. My high school has the lead singer from Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Nice.
Glenn Phillips.
That's
He's
right.
great.
Yeah. No notes. Walk on the ocean, my guy.
Yes.
Uh,
Hi, Jill.
I every year I go out to a little farm in Vista, California, for some friends who are famous bluegrass musicians who do a thing called Friend Fest, where they just invite all of their friends who also happen to be amazing musicians, and they
Oh
just
my
play music, and you like
God.
eat burgers, and it fucking rules.
That's
And when
the
your Glenn
dream.
Phillips showed up, and it was the best.
And you've never invited me to this, despite the fact
So-
that I'm not friends with these famous musicians.
That is the hard part, right?
Right.
So the fact that I have an invitation is, it feels like there's a couple like fancy things that I get invited to every year that it feels like I'm just a name that has not yet been shaved off.
You have to guard that with your life. I totally
yeah.
I totally understand.
So,
What I'm really hearing is like we need to start our own friend fest.
kind of, yes. I think starting your thing is the surest way to ensure you're.
That you get to go to the
Like-
thing.
Clint,
Yeah.
could you start a Friend Fest? Or a Friend of Friend Fest?
I absolutely could. I don't think it's that hard. Starting things is real easy, guys. Keeping them going is really, really hard.
Not for me. In fact, perfect follow.
So we-
perfect follow through on everything I've ever started.
you know what? I was going to say, what's the biggest thing you've ever started and kept going? And I was like, you have several things that are pretty big that you've kept going.
I have so I mean like God, the fall off is real. I think for everyone, but
For sure.
especially if you're, a creative type who man, I wish I could remember what this is from, but I quote this children's book, anime, cartoon, I'm not sure. and I can't find it, and it seems to be ungoogleable. But there's some like slide picture video clip, don't know. And someone's like, here's this animal. It's always hungry and always having ideas. And I was like, oh, okay, this is out of context impossible, but like
Sure.
insert some animal. I can't remember what it was. If I could, it would be much easier to find. Whatever this reference is, it's burned into my brain. But some animal is always hungry and always having ideas, and that's me. Follow through on those ideas. Your mileage may vary. Can I tell you about my current idea that I want to do?
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
the other idea, Clint, that we talked about a while back, that I still think may happen someday, but
which
I just Googled it's
thought
always
about
hungry
recently.
and always having ideas, and there's nothing, Zach.
I know, right? It's hard to find. If anyone finds it, please let me know. Clint, we'll talk offline. It's a long haul, but I think there's a road, but it's
Okay.
a long road, unfortunately. So my new idea, and this is anything that I want to do, is sort of based on whatever I happen to be consuming at the time and is like currently living rent free in my brain. Most recently, those things have been the Murderbot series, soon to come out on Apple TV, but a
Have you read them?
really excellent series of books. Yes, they're rad. Into the Wayfarer series, if you read those, by Becky Chambers.
That's
So,
about the kids,
I've read the first one.
the kids and the furniture.
No kids. Are you talking about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
No, I'm talking about the website that you can buy kids and furniture.
This is a way.
Cotsandtots.com.
I'm talking about Wayfair. You don't know the Wayfair conspiracy theory? It's fine. It's like a Pizzagate Q nonsense thing.
Oh, no.
My brain is poisoned. Keep talking about good things.
Do you want to hear my good joke about not knowing the Wayfair thing about cotsandtots.com, where I immediately thought of a website that could sell both furniture and children?
I liked
No
it.
one said a fucking thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, Zach. I think you're the funniest guy I've ever
Doesn't
met.
mean anything now. It's too late.
I'm
Mr.
stuck
Chance.
on like, when does anybody ever need a cot? Like, when's the last time you slept
Camping,
on one?
LARPing.
When you were on one, were you happy you had it, or did you wish you had something?
What's the alternative?
Wish it was a bed.
Yeah, like I feel like once air mattresses happened, cots were like, some small Pennsylvania town that had been a cot manufacturer for years just collapsed.
Uh-oh. They thought water beds were going to do them in. They didn't, but air mattresses really got them. Speaking of, we are sort of moving through the elements for beds, right? So,
yeah.
What do we think?
Firebed?
What do we think is next? A fire bed or earth bed?
I feel like earth bed was first.
That's true.
Earth bed is first. You're right, Sarah. That's a great point. We've done earth beds. The only thing we really haven't done is fire bed.
I mean,
everything changed when the fire.
Because no one wants a hot bed. You want your bed to be cool.
I mean, there's heating pads. Is a heating bed in some ways a hot bed, a fire bed?
And I was going to say, Clint, in some ways, the only advantage that a cot has to an air mattress is that it is elevated off the ground, which some scenarios is what you need.
Yeah.
Because the ground has like ants or is cold. I don't know. I'm not camping. I've just been told that you got to get that mattress off the ground sometimes.
Or like, let's say there's not like any bed-sized solid piece of ground, and there's only like
any
little
bed-sized solid piece of ground. There's only little sticks of ground.
Yeah. But then you'd need a cot that has like adjustable leg distances, so you can accommodate the various strips. Yeah. I think we're onto something here, guys.
I don't know. I want to circle back to fire bed.
Guys, we've reinvented the cot.
So okay.
Wait,
we had
hold on.
We had not gotten to Zach's $1 million.
Well, I had to talk about the sort of Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers is incredible. Also, the author of the Monk and Robot series, which Sarah you would love because it's basically a robot and a human talking like the philosophy.
It's My Dinner with Andre with a monk and a robot.
And I say books; these are quite short. These are novellas, probably.
As are the Murderbot books. They're
as are all of the Murderbot books except for one. So these things combined with the fact that everyone's pictures from Neotropolis are now showing up. Do y'all know about Neotropolis?
Oh yeah. I just got coffee with Sid yesterday. We were talking all about it. Neotropolis
is a cyberpunk, I would say LARP that happens in the desert, except that there's no game system. It's a festival. It's a cyberpunk festival where people.
No, I mean it's a like LARP.
Electric Daisy Carnival.
Yeah, if you were in character as your like cyberpunk character, it's a LARP. It's a LARP with no.
Most people are at least for parts of it role playing.
Yes,
I'm looking for it.
That's correct. Anyway, the pictures that come back from Cyberpunk are radical. Picture like a Burning Man situation where they go and they set everything up and they build it, but like the aesthetic is like we made a town in the desert and there's a bunch of neon and it's every sort of anime thing you've ever thought of, and also it's not quite as grungy as like a Wasteland Weekend post-apocalypse thing is. It's a little bit slicker than that.
It's so interesting. We build these essentially these pop-up utopias all draw from apocalyptic scenarios.
Yeah, that is very weird,
right? Nobody's building like we're gonna build the Four Seasons in the desert.
Well, I think it's this idea that like, how else are you going to be able to build a utopia, like within capitalism? Like I think a lot of the people drawn to starting projects like that, at least, are coming from some kind of anarchist or leftist background. And there's this assumption that like, it will require the death of this system in order to allow people to dream.
Requires the full collapse of society and the systems of government as we know it. Although, as I understand it, what's it called? Neotropolis has like entry point, like classes is the wrong word. groups that you can be a part of, and
Yeah,
one of them is like
Factions.
one of the factions is like corpos, which is a post-apocalypse in which corporations have taken over for the government, which is very Murderbot and both extremely funny and extremely sad.
Cyberpunk requires it is not
Mic check,
it is
mic
a-
check, sound check. Am I clipping
Good
still?
check, good check. Sibilance.
No clipping, no clipping, no clipping.
Okay.
Oh my god, fantastic. Yeah, there's cool factions like, and I think what I love about the idea of Neotropolis, having never been there, but what I from afar like about it, especially in reference to Twin Mask, the LARP that you and I are more familiar with, like the way those groups or like camps work is Joe, shut up. The way they work is that
Joe,
the
you're
groups or
right.
camps
Thank
like
you.
bring their own installations to make the experience more fun for other people. So like our friend Sam was part of one where they have this whole like MLM cult recruiting game you do, and then as you go deeper into the experience they set up, you find out that they are all part of this like slug based hive mind that they're trying to convert you into joining,
Perfect.
right?
Incredible. Well,
And
Sid too,
yeah,
right? Like
and Sid was part of a
like a
robot
juice-
made cafe speakeasy behind that you could only access by beating like the 8 gym leaders of an official Bakugan league.
and yeah, playing Beyblades, and then you meet the
Oh,
like sort of
yeah,
juice
Beyblade, sorry.
juice themed made to get into the juice themed maid cafe. Like it's extremely good.
Where do they do
Um,
this shit?
In
What?
the desert.
Yeah, have you been to Desert? It's in Desert.
I have the their website pulled up.
Yeah, that's a good question. Where is
The
it?
address does appear to be desert.
I mean, like, look, find cactus, go straight, wait
Yeah.
for hot desert.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that it's
If you
all
hit
these-
water, you've gone too far.
Yeah, you got too far. No
Unless
longer desert.
Oasis. Oasis in desert.
That's
If
true.
you hit golf course, might be desert still.
Most of the desert is golf course in my experience.
Yeah.
If you hit golf course, you found one big reason for desert.
Yes.
I like that all these groups, like, it is decentralized, and it's all these groups who have the shared goal of crafting fun, imaginative experiences for each other.
Yeah. But I think you can only do that because of the lack of quote unquote winnable game system and or like stakes for the sort of like crunchy numbers that other LARPs have, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't have you can't have a system that has like hit points that can result in permanent death and allow players to make their own death trap machines. Because
100%.
I mean, you can like, and now there are LARPs that have like ways around this where it's like, no, we'll let you do whatever you want. There's just no permanent death unless you opt into it. So like, some of these things will kill you, some of these things won't. Don't worry about it because like nothing's gonna stick. I think that's fun too. They're just like different. They're different
Sure.
systems for games.
Yeah. Or like they do, from what Sid was telling me yesterday at least, they do have a lot of like little rule-based game systems that feel more LARP-like at Neotropolis, but they're all opt-in and they're all run by these camps. And so like there might be a camp. There was one that she was telling me about that runs like a bounty hunters game where you go there, you register officially as either like a criminal or a bounty
With her
hunter.
own
What up,
branding,
Mary Lou?
here she is.
Yeah. I need one of those hats. That's fantastic.
Yeah, where are we getting these hats? You're muted, or you're wrong.
Your
mic
mic's not plugged in.
Nothing.
Classic. Mary Lou would have been a
Continue
great
thought,
silent
Sarah.
film actress, though. So emotive.
Mary Lou's been here for 2 seconds, and it's the most interesting thing to watch of this
Yes.
entire stream.
What do you mean?
Oh, talkies have been invented.
You know what would be a fun thing to do on a stream is you have two people that just do silent acting, and the other people very quickly type the dialogue.
I was
so
just trying to- yeah.
funny.
But yeah, so like there's this bounty hunters game you can play. You go register with this camp as bounty hunter or criminal. You get to choose. And then you're each given this little game device. And you just continue your time in Neotropolis. But if you see someone who you suspect is a criminal and you're a bounty hunter because of whatever rules,
You bounty
You-
hunt them to the prison.
you shoot them. You shoot them dead. No, you go up to them and you like confirm like you're a criminal, and they're like, yeah. And then you each whip out your little game system, and then you have your like you get to role play all the combat of the bounty hunting scenario, but you're fighting on this like little like Game Boy style game. And if you're the bounty hunter and you beat them, then you get to bring them in and whatever. But it's all opt in, and
It's fun.
like there's a bunch of intersecting.
Are we talking about
ones.
Neotropolis?
Yeah.
I got shit to talk about.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
were you
let's hear it.
First
there?
of all, no.
No,
but
we're just gossiping. Welcome
Before-
to Neotropolis gossip.
okay, Neogoslip.
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 Yeah.
Yep.
Hold on. Before,
First of all, take the "what do you mean" off my face.
It's gone.
No, it's not.
no, it's very
no,
much
it's
there.
not. It's very
Whoa.
much still there.
It's extremely
On my
not
end.
gone.
On my end, it's not even a banner I can remove.
Absolutely
Uh-oh.
still there.
Is it
Mary Lou,
gone?
leave and come back.
Nope.
Okay, but
It's still there.
Oh no.
The banner is persistent, but Mary Lou is not.
Okay, now it's on.
okay, now it's
Sarah.
on Sarah, and so I'm fine with that.
There's a banner. Okay.
Yeah, just leave it there. It's good.
Oh
No,
no!
it's on-
No, now it's on Clint. Oh no.
Oh no! How do I change it?
You can leave it on me. It's fine. I don't mind.
I was just looking at my friend's pictures from Neotropolis and was like, wow, that looks like such a fun time.
Is
I
this the
was
second
hosting
one?
Glass Cannon Radio with Jared yesterday, and we talked a lot about LARP. What do you mean?
Now it's in the middle.
Um,
Now it's gone. You did
Now
it.
it's
Wow.
gone. You did it, Sarah.
But I kind of
Um,
miss it now.
Can you put it back?
Yeah. Keep going. I
Um,
want to hear all about it. I want to do a Glass Cannon Radio after show about Glass Cannon Radio.
Yes, Glass Cannon Radio after show about Glass Cannon Radio. We were talking about LARP a lot, and people were like, "Are there other kinds of LARPs? Is there like a sci-fi LARP? Is there a Star Trek LARP? Other than just high fantasy?"
100%.
And I was like, "Yeah, totally." For example, Neotropolis, that everybody was just at this weekend, and I was like, "That does look like fun. Maybe one day I will do that because I have a lot of friends that do it." And then my hot boyfriend showed me last night a post from someone that we very tangentially know at our LARP, had posted a meme about being polyamorous. It was something like being poly. Thank you, Cliptonk. Being poly is like having Schrodinger's feelings for your friends. Haha. Like barely a meme, right? Not even funny. And then somebody commented on it. 7 paragraphs of
They walked into the poly space and didn't think they were going to get dogpiled.
By a
7
person-
paragraphs
And
of
there are 12 partners all tapped in.
yeah. 7 paragraphs of like, you did not have consent to go on a little date with my partner. My partner didn't have
Oh.
consent at Neotropolis. He was drunk and you took advantage of him. 7 paragraphs. You should have checked with his nesting partner. This isn't how the poly community works. You're blah, blah, blah. You're a predator. I see people like you. La, 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 la. Long paragraph.
I need you,
Then a
Mary Lou. I
response.
require you to send this to me.
Okay. I can't do that, but hot boyfriend can send it to me. He can take a screenshot. I'm saying emergency.
Yeah, me too. Please,
Yeah.
thank you. very
I
much.
need a screenshot of the crazy. This is on Facebook.
Here, we're
Neodrop.
Already
List.
perfect.
Yeah.
Which is because that's where.
correct. Click.
That's what
It gets better, guys. It gets better. So yeah,
Also,
I'm not
do you-
joking.
Do you know where it is? Because someone just.
So,
Corp just
I
asked
looked
us
up the
to
address and
email
it's
us.
very funny, actually.
Where is it?
No idea.
The directions are it's where Wasteland Weekend takes place.
Not
Or
helpful. Right?
South of Rosewood, east of California City, west of Claremont. It's the fucking desert. The directions are desert.
It is
What's
literally
Hole-
desert. That's what
hole
I'm
in the
saying.
desert. Yeah,
It's like
just-
it's like
Yeah.
it's like 2 hours north of here or something.
Okay, so it unfortunately doesn't end. So yeah, that long post, right,
Okay.
of just being like very much blah. And she responds. These are like 40-year-old women, by the way.
Sure.
She responds and is like,
Straight women?
I've already told you this, but I'll say it in public. Like, I've apologized for that, but I didn't know about this. Your boundaries were violated by your partner, not by me. Like 7 more paragraphs responding. And the best part is these were all posted 2 days ago. Can you imagine?
It's a fresh.
It's fresh, but also it's been up for 2 days. You don't delete it? Like, you posted a meme. It's a meme. And somebody commented 7 paragraphs of how you're a predator, and you don't just delete it and go like, you're right, this is too dramatic.
If you think you're right, why would you delete it?
I guess.
Well, I mean,
their online world is Facebook. Like
their online world it's Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I do not know these people. We do not know these people.
It's drama.
And I can read this about their lives.
Right.
Yeah, this is actually
my fear is
weird
that if you don't know them, you might accidentally date them.
That's just his birth name.
Yeah,
and he's actually not that attractive. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's a little misleading. No, just kidding. He's truly the hottest person ever.
It's not misleading even in the slightest. It's actually a little bit frustrating how not misleading it is. Mary Lou, the first time that you brought that into frame, I don't know what I thought it was, but I did not think it was string cheese. I just saw you hold up a sort of like overlit cylinder that I was like, she has a pen, a highlighter, and then you proceeded to peel a part of it off.
When it went to her lips, I thought she was rolling a blunt.
Yeah.
Not now. This is the second time she's brought it into frame. She did it with one of the first things she did on camera was pull this up and string cheese is great.
It's how I like to eat string cheese.
Well, Clark Dog, thank you so much for being on our stream because we know the rest of those people, and we want to say officially that they can all suck shit, and we won because you're watching us. Fuck everyone else.
Are they all streaming right now?
I guess.
Wow.
Glass Cannon's on most of the day.
I don't know.
Glass Cannon's always on.
Paula's very online. She's probably streaming at any given time at some point during the day.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Thursday mornings. That's her big time. She does. With games with her best friend.
Marilu, you're eating string cheese wrong.
It is crazy.
You've never tried it. Once you try it my way, you'll never go back.
Do you know? I have a 3-year-old. How much string cheese experience do you think I have in a week?
Yeah.
How much string cheese? Do you eat it, or do you just give it to your 3-year-old?
Malcolm Gladwell hours. 10,000 hour mastery of eating string cheese.
Okay.
If I were to tell you my weekly berry budget, you would die.
Okay, good point. But that just tells me that you've been eating string cheese for the past 3 years. How long do you think I've been eating string cheese?
Sorry, you've been studying the blade.
Since the old books were written? Yeah, I was going to say.
Guys, we're going to have to take a little break for some commercials, but when we'll be back, we'll be back with more String Section presented by Pushkin Industries.
Yeah, do not cite the old magic to me, Clint. I was there when it was written.
I was there when it was curdled. For a split second, I thought the ad thing was real.
Oh, no. We don't have ads.
I was like, really? Commercial?
Nope.
Ads?
Not really.
If anybody wants to sponsor this, if anybody would sponsor this.
Yeah, you can sponsor our show. Look,
I'll do it. How much?
Here's what I'll promise you: ads. You're gonna sponsor us, Zach?
I'll do it. How much?
Give us literally any amount of money.
Okay, and you'll run an ad for whatever I want?
Yes.
Okay.
Quick offline business.
You can send me
go
the
on to
ad
gencon.com and accept my friend request.
Go on to what?
I got the screenshots.
Gencon.com.
Okay, send them.
Let me like doctor them so that they're
send them to me. I'm not gonna put them online.
Yeah.
GenCon, GenCon.com is GenCon technology. Farmer's Wife and GenCon partnership is expanding.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know what this is about.
I'm sending it to our group chat.
Lake Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
Yeah. We knew that,
we've been
right?
offered 3 to 5 string cheese. Great.
No, that's not in a like divisible by 4. Somebody's gonna have to get an extra string cheese.
This stream is brought to you by SideQuest. So now you do owe us that string cheese. Okay, let me read these messy.
You
ass
guys,
tweets.
yesterday my string cheese had mold in it. I didn't know.
And you're still eating it?
No, it was a different one.
Mary
Oh,
Lou.
What?
How
batch.
can you be? Why would one have mold and not a different one?
They're different packages.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
they're individually packaged.
How does one have
Exactly.
mold in it?
It had like I could see in like the in there, in vacuum packed in there. It was
Okay.
little green
Here's the
stuff.
thing. Can I provide some commentary on these messy comments as the one member of this stream who is actually in a polyamorous relationship?
You
I
can,
want
but
7
then
paragraphs from you, Sarah.
you can, but then I'll tell my opinion as a person who's not in one, and it will also be
Yes.
very useful and germane to the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. So, my partner specifically did not have consent to go on a cute little date with you or
Wait a minute. Are we
This is the
about to
response.
read for filth people that we sort of know?
I don't know this
No.
person at all.
Okay, cool.
And I'm
So I
not
don't wanna-
using
And
names.
Zach, you don't
And
know.
I'm not-
don't
I'm not
don't look at
reading
our
for
group
Phil.
chat, and you have plausible deniability.
I'm
Okay.
not reading for filth. I'm talking about polyamory because this person says he crossed a specific boundary I set. Both of you are shit at poly, and I suggest you have some damn respect and check in with the nesting partner instead of making assumptions. But you're a coward. So
That doesn't feel right to me.
it's wrong. Here's what I'll say. It's wrong. That may
I shouldn't
be
have to check with your boyfriend that you're not cheating
yes.
if you're poly.
Every
I would
rela-
say it's up to you to not cheat on your partner.
yes.
Exactly.
That's the thing about polyamory is it is not a game system. It is not a LARP. There are no rules. There's no rule book. Every relationship is responsible for negotiating and explicitly establishing its own rules of engagement that they can expect each other to follow.
Which
But
is
you
why
have-
you can't do it wrong and no one ever gets mad.
Well, it's why you can't get mad at someone else because they didn't know that in your relationship, you, the nesting partner, have to like give consent to someone to go on a cute little date with your boyfriend.
Right.
Like
What is
that's
a what is a
ridiculous.
nesting? Is a nesting partner just like a primary partner, a partner
can
that
be-
you live
yeah,
with
it's-
physically?
Specifically, it's usually like the partner that someone lives with. Like Willa and I are nesting partners because
Got
we
it.
live together. And it's the distinction there is that like it doesn't have to imply primacy. It doesn't have to mean there's a power hierarchy between partners. It's just like Willa and I do live with each other, which means we have certain just like life obligations to each other that'll come into play,
Like rent.
like rent or
Okay.
like chores or shared pets. But it doesn't mean that like I get to say like, well, Willa, my opinion on this matters more than Ollie's, just because I'm your nesting partner.
Does not mean that.
Right. And it
Unless
doesn't
you,
mean
unless you've explicitly said that, I guess.
we could say that. Yeah, we could say that. We could say we're also primary partners. I could say like, yeah, Willa and I are allowed to date other people, but we each get like first claim to sharing our opinion, and our opinion weighs as much as 3 other partners. Like you could make whatever rules you want, but
That's good. I think that's good. I think we should be waiting.
Quantify it.
numerically.
But that's what's so stupid about this. Like to get pissed at somebody because they go on a date with your partner. You could get pissed at your partner for that, for violating your relationship rules. But how are they supposed to know? Anyway, this is really frustrating. People going around policing other people for like not doing poly in the way that they want to do poly is very stupid and unrealistic. And like counter to the whole inside of polyamory, which is like, hey guys, let's be direct and communicate with each other instead of
Right.
just freaking out.
And I imagine bad for the brand, which Polly already has a sizable mountain to climb.
It's
Yes.
got a bad brand because of
Yes.
dorks.
And as
Um,
this person, I'll say in her defense, the person responding to this accusation said, as I said to you when you messaged me privately, I'm sorry for being party to hurting you, but your partner broke boundaries with you. Boundaries
Yeah.
and relationship agreements I had no knowledge of, and I'm not responsible for what he chose of his own free will to do.
Sounds correct to me.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I will be the universal arbiter and judge here in Poly Court, and that is correct.
I was going to say, did I pass
And
the
the
test?
best
Did I
part
pass
is-
the test?
The best part is we're not dragging anyone for filth because that's the person that is only very loosely tangentially related to us because they go to our LARP.
Great.
Great.
We don't even know the person that's talking to them.
No.
Yes. Yes. This is as Johanna says, super controlling to say you need to talk to me to date my partner. Like
yeah, that's weird.
that is just like.
You have
Have-
to check in with me first.
Have y'all seen Last
And-
Night in Soho?
Is that
Mm.
the models,
Edgar Wright.
the blonde girls?
Edgar Wright, Anya Taylor-Joy,
Yes.
Matt Smith.
Wait
Mhm.
a minute.
It's really good, actually. And I was surprised. I watched it for the first time over the weekend because Greg Smith
It's
told me about
horror,
it.
right?
Oh
Yeah, it's
yes,
horror.
I saw this one. Wait, spoilers?
Yeah, no, it's been out for like 5 years.
Is there a fire in this one at the end?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen
Cool.
this one.
Yeah, but there's like a moment in there's a moment in the movie where Anya Taylor-Joy's character is dating Matt Smith, and it's like back in the 60s, and then some guy is like hitting on Anya Taylor-Joy, and she's like, "Well, I'm not actually interested in you. I'm with him." And then the old guy looks at Matt Smith and was like, "Do you mind?" And Matt Smith is like, "Nope." And that's just taken as consent. That's closer to
Gross.
what this person is.
Proxy consent.
Proxy consent. I mean, that's not okay. That's a little too far. This person isn't trying to pimp out their partner, but they are
Mhm.
saying that they like have that kind of ownership over them.
Sounds like this person is just
Weird.
mad that they're
Just mad.
that their partner
she's
did a
just mad.
thing and is mad at all the parties involved.
But if you can't be mad in a situation like that and handle it like responsibly and be aware of your own feelings enough to communicate them well, then you aren't. Then like that's the only way to do polyamory wrong, is to like
I would say that's the only way to do relationships.
yeah.
Like it is really hard to be mad to be mad constructively, but everyone does sort of need to figure out a way to do it, because you're not gonna not be mad. That's not life.
But
Yeah.
what if they keep if they get better at it? Then I don't see any messy more posts on Facebook. So don't give them any more advice, okay? I don't want
They're
them to
not.
listen.
Don't worry, Mary. They're not listening.
Okay, good.
They're in
Yeah,
desert. Desert have no
Okay.
reception.
I'm also
You're
gonna
right.
say like this feels like so much a this is a straight polyamory problem. Sorry,
Interesting.
Fair.
straight people are worse at polyamory.
That
think
is
that is
100%
100%
true.
true.
I believe that for sure.
Yeah. There's so much weird like gender misogyny and like shit. I think straight people just haven't been forced quite as much to like
Share.
question
No, I don't.
well to share, but like to question and reconsider all the default assumptions about relationships.
Sure.
And so it's easier for norms to like slip in unexamined than if you're in a queer relationship. You have to know, like you have to talk to each other to figure shit out, because you don't get to fall back on who's the guy, who's the man in this relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah. And all the sort of ironclad things that means.
Yes.
Definitely, always.
Y'all ever had a cosmic crisp apple?
Wow.
Mary Lou, who the fuck do you think I am?
You want to take two on that, friend?
Y'all ever had a cosmic crisp apple?
Let's try one more time. Yeah, let's go
It's
take
the
30.
loudest apple in America.
Mary Lou,
Y'all ever had a cosmic crisp apple?
We got it, friends. No, how is it? What are we talking?
Oh god.
Okay.
and if you would like to try a Cosmic Crisp apple, you can use our code www.cosmiccrisp.com/CTPod.
They're insanely good.
They're
They're
really
so
good.
sweet and so juicy.
Is this a new
I can't believe this-
science-created apple? Is this
They're years
is this
old,
hot,
Clint.
on,
They're years
hot on the
old.
scene?
They're years old, but they're having a moment, I think. And Cosmic Crisp is, I don't know why we're not all talking about it. Because it's
seems like we are all talking about it.
yeah, because of some really incredible efforts by some community-minded people like myself. Now we're all talking about Cosmic Crisp. It should be the new standard.
Where
of
did you get
Apple.
it?
My grocery delivery program.
BringMeApples.net.
BringMeApples.net. Misfits Market.
And
Oh,
if you
yeah.
want
And
20%
ugly
off your
vegetables.
first order, bringmeapples.net/CTPod.
I actually probably could get somebody like 20% off Misfits if they want.
Also,
wanted.
yeah, I would say that Misfits Market, formerly Imperfect Produce.
Correct.
2 of the 4 members of this stream are current subscribers. So why don't you all get on us,
Mrs. Market.
And I'm a former subscriber to Imperfect Produce, and I stopped because I found that a lot of the produce I was getting
Wasn't
was
perfect.
like already rotten by the time it got to my door, and it was
dear.
unpleasant and untasty. And that's why I prefer to shop at my local farmer produce shop, which I'm not going to tell you the name of because that would tell you where I live. But find yourself a little local farm, like a permanent little farmer's market, someone who has connections with all the good little farmers in your area, and they get fresh produce every day and every week. And
No.
here's the thing, the best fruit I've ever had in my life has been from this place, and it
Yeah.
actually has nothing to do with the breed of the apple or the fruit. It's just like coming from like a good farm that's local.
That's great.
Like, it's better.
It's good, and if you can do that, that's great. Also, there's a ton of food waste out there, so if there's a big program that wants to buy it all up and sell it to me in a big box, that's good too.
Oh, I'm not
like-
I'm not against him. That's just maybe they've gotten better.
Yeah,
Can I
I've
do a
never.
quick tangent
I
of
never
a thing
get
I've
rotten
said out
food.
loud?
Mine's never been rotten. I'll also say that. Clint, what's your tangent?
Have you guys? It is a thing. I've never said this out loud, but it's a thing I've noticed. I feel like you're Los Angelinos who will probably have experienced the same thing. I don't know how widespread it is outside of where we are. They're like little bodega / like fancy like markets, but they're all like they're teeny tiny. Like they're
Yes.
like the size of a stationery store, and they all have 9 things in them. Right? Like they will have apples, but they have a basket of 4 apples.
Yeah.
They will have like
And
what
they're
the
20
fuck are these?
and
What
they're
are
20
these stores?
They're
They cost
$20.
$1
They're
Yeah.
$20, and they're all. I have a theory for what they are. Sorry.
What the fuck are these? And
They
who's
also
shopping
sell
there?
like wine.
Yes.
Is it that kind? Yes.
Yes,
But if they sell
basically-
wine, they have 7 bottles in the store.
Yep.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
a couple. There's one of these in my neighborhood. I have a theory for what they are and how they stay.
You could empty this store into your trunk.
Mhm.
and
but you couldn't because it would be so expensive.
Yes, yes.
Like-
Yeah,
exactly.
every individual item is very expensive.
I
What do you think
think
they are, Zach?
these are passion projects of
Rich ladies.
producers of current and or former producers. There are a lot of stores in and when I say producers, I mean like rich people in the film industry.
Above
like
the line.
my dream is to get out of film and become a greengrocer. But the
Truly,
way I do
I think
is by
it's-
going and shopping at other people's stores
It's
and
the-
then
it's-
putting that
it's-
stuff in my store.
It's their fucking anime version of like I just want to move to a small town and be an apothecary. It's like
Yeah.
I want to
Oh, sure,
open like
sure.
a tiny grocery store up on my street where I sell like it's bakery without having to wake up early.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird.
That was
to me.
exactly my hypothesis as well.
And then people come in, and then you're like, "Hey, do you like
They're
olive oil?"
highly curated. They're very aesthetic,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
it's
they're all
mostly it's
beautiful.
mostly a place to buy gifts.
This actually
Yes, dips.
San Ventino is this tiny little olive orchard in the south of Tuscany. I was there last summer, and they make the best olive oil. Honestly, I know it's expensive, but it's totally worth it. First press, 100% EV.
Yep. That's her.
Princess.
That's her. That's the producer. Yeah.
And when I was there, I bought 4 bottles and started a store.
Yes.
Sell these 4 bottles.
Shout out though, you know what? Sassoon Produce is not near me, so I'm not giving away where I live. But if you're ever in Hightown, East Hollywood area, and you're looking for some amazing produce, go to Sassoon Produce. It looks like a tiny nothing from the outside, and it's some of the best fruits and veggies you'll have in your life.
It is funny that we've done so many ads for a thing that has no ads.
Yeah. Produce. We've just done ads for produce.
And cheese and sort of,
Cheese.
Well,
Yeah.
you might all
Sarah
just be
talking about-
hungry.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I think we're just hungry. Sarah talking about not letting people know where she lives has reminded me of something that happened yesterday, and I have to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
What happened to me yesterday is the question.
okay.
You
And
asking
let me
us?
give you the details. Let me give you the details.
You want me to start now?
Yeah, no, I can guess.
'Cause I don't have any of the information, but I'll take a guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. I actually, everybody
You got a
like
machine that
click
makes
in.
hats.
Click in their answer right now of what they think happened to me yesterday, and then after we go through it, we're gonna check back in and see how close you were.
The only context I have is your Instagram story, and I have to assume that this isn't about that.
It
The
is
only
not
context-
about that.
Context I have is the way you segued into talking about this. So
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, that's the context.
Yep.
Okay. So I had an Instagram reel go viral, or one that I was in from the show that I was recently in that was a Real Housewives musical parody. And a casting director messaged me about that reel and was like, I just saw this. I'm casting for a game show. You look like you'd be perfect. Can I give you more information? And I said, yeah, he said, can I get your phone number? And I said, here's my email. Can you send me some more details? And he sent me some more details and like had other casting directors listed and like details and stuff. And so I was like, great. That sounds awesome. Sarah and I recently had a very positive experience of going on a game show and winning an indeterminate amount of money. And so I responded to the email, sent my phone number, and we set up a call for later that day. And he called me. It was a very normal game show sort of casting director call. He was like a younger guy, really cool. Asked me questions about myself, then told me about the game show. Then asked like for some logistics, asked like, what's your current city?
Wait,
What
new game
is
show, known game show?
brand new,
Gotta be new. Yeah.
brand new game show. It would be the first season for one of the big networks, but he couldn't say which one. You would be randomly partnered with someone, maybe a celebrity, but he couldn't say, didn't hear it from me, that kind of thing. It just felt all like very normal, the way that
Sure.
game show, these things talk. And then he was like, all right, down to logistics, your current city, your email. Are you married, single, or in a relationship? I said single, but in a relationship. And that was the only one that made me go like, And then like other logistics questions. And then he was like, great, let's set up a Zoom for tomorrow with our other casting director who's in the central time zone. What time? We could figure it out. We went back and forth. He was like, okay, would you have like some things that I might need on hand for the Zoom thing? And we were like, great. And he was like, you're a total shoo-in. This sounds awesome. I feel like I'm talking to the next winner of this game show. Ha ha ha. Okay, see you later. Click. He then texts me like not an hour later. And it's like, the network has just told us that they're not moving through with the game show. So the Zoom is canceled.
Hollywood,
that was
baby.
That fucking happens.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Which totally believable.
Yeah.
And then
No, that was it.
Are you asking if this was an elaborate front to find out
To
if
get
you were
my
single?
phone number or to find out if
No.
I'm single or in a relationship? They don't ask that. They ask
No,
married or
that's
single.
too-
They
no,
don't
it
ask
depends
married,
on the
single, or
nature
in a
of the
relationship.
show.
Yeah, if it's a dating show or if it's secretly a dating
It wasn't a
show.
dating show.
What was the premise of the show? They're not going through with it, so you could tell us.
It was like a Pictionary style, like Pictionary or Drawful or Drawful.
It is a weird question to have in there, which almost is like, is everything real? But also he's like, let me find out if this lady's single.
I think it's part of just what they're casting for, though. Like they want a
Yeah.
mix of
Yeah.
contestants. Like if every
It was so normal. It was just that like I hung up and 20 minutes later he was like, "Yeah, the show's been canceled."
I don't think that's.
Have you
Weird.
ever seen the Takashi Miike
Okay.
movie Audition?
No?
It is
That's like one of the
it-
worst horror movies ever, right?
It is one of the scariest horror movies I've ever seen. But the premise is a guy has lost his wife and hasn't been dating for a while. So his friend, his producer, says, "No problem. I do this all the time. We'll pretend we're casting for something and we'll do auditions." And he meets a woman, and she should not have been cast as his girlfriend, but they do a fake audition to meet women.
Normal.
So was Joe
Uh-huh.
right? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, that was Joe's guess. Joe was
Yeah.
a little off, I guess. Well, yeah, what was y'all's guess? What did you think? What do you think it was going to be?
I thought you were gonna be like in some public place relatively close to your house, and someone was gonna run up to you and be like, "Oh my God, I know you from the internet. You're Mary Lou. Do you live
Oh.
near here? huh, interesting, and then just kind of follow you around so you couldn't go back home.
That is believable, but not what happened. Although Greg Smith got recognized for tabletop tunes the other day.
I got recognized for Dramatique yesterday or 2
Let's
days
go!
ago. I was at a coffee shop and someone was like, "I love Dramatique."
Does tabletop tunes have a visual component?
No! That's why it's very confusing. But okay.
Yeah, this is true. Side quest. This is why we're proud to have you as one of our sponsors for the price of 3 to 5 string cheeses.
All right, Clint. And what did you think it was? And Zach, what did you think that I was going to say about what happened to me yesterday?
I wanted a long, sort of shaggy story about car trouble. You're far away from home. Your phone has died. I wanted a nice 5-6 hour story of stranded and what you did.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be a scenario where like you had a clip go viral and then someone was like, oh, wow, she's great. And they like call her up. And she's like, maybe we'll put her in a game show. And then like the call is like pretty normal. So part of it's like kind of weird. And then like the call ends. And then like right after the call ends, the whole game show gets canceled.
That's crazy, Zach. You nailed it.
No, I don't think so.
Things are so easy for Zach.
Everything
Yeah.
comes. You missed this part, Mary Lou. Everything in Zach's life is good. He's never had anything bad happen, and he
Oh
loves
my God,
it.
that's so great. That's awesome.
Thanks, dude.
Are you guys
Yeah.
seeing about how Princess is laying her head on my shoulder?
If you think I've been looking at anything else, you're wrong. There's a
Um,
rule. There's a rule. About don't
Okay,
do-
but are you seeing my impact driver?
no one cares.
Whoa.
Whoa, that is pretty cool.
Do I have anything interesting around
Great,
here?
we all have drills next
No.
to our kid. Yeah, it's fine.
I have my
Oh,
daughter
nice.
investigated rocks at school.
Hell
And
yeah.
this
That's
is what her
great. Her rock was
investigation has.
smooth.
Good. That's
It
wonderful.
was
Three cubes
Three
long.
cubes long.
Yeah,
Any of them
Uh,
pinkos?
and it was heavier than the teacher's rock. So,
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
you
really
got-
nice.
Yeah, eat
I think
dirt,
science,
teachers
guys.
rock.
I think she's gonna grow up to be a scientist. Yeah.
I mean,
Geologist.
it's so hard to say. She's so bad at so much stuff.
Well, give her at least another couple weeks.
Yeah,
how-
right.
How old
Wow.
is she? A small child?
She's 3, and I got to tell you, she has no education. She's
Hmm.
not particularly coordinated.
Yeah.
She
No work
can't-
experience.
Can't regulate her emotions.
What are her
Like-
politics?
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
did she
Um,
vote? Did
Pretty
she vote for
self-interested. If
Kamala
I'm
in the last election.
Yeah, what's her voting record like?
Yeah.
She doesn't
She's
vote. and
she's
is
never
proudly-
voted.
She's
Proudly
never
never
voted.
voted.
Never
Problematic.
She's apolitical. God, that's such a lie.
In this
That's fucked
climate,
up.
man, so
That's
lazy.
fucked up. Yeah, Mary Lou, you missed me talking about the congressman who went to my high school who's aiding and abetting fascism.
Oh, fun.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is that?
His name's Wesley Hunt. Interesting thing about
He
this
has no
guy,
honor.
he has no honor. Our school motto is not without honor, which
Uh-huh.
is why I was using that motif in there.
Beautiful.
He, since I was in high school, he has been campaigning at my school. Like he after 9/11, he joined the army, but didn't really join the army. He went to West Point and became an officer, and was like a helicopter guy in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Do you think you have to if your last name is Hunt?
Maybe.
Hmm.
And he would come to our history classes in high school and talk, give his little speech about 9/11 happening and him deciding he had to fight with his country and it was his generation's war. And I'm like, why are you? This is a modern European history class. Like, why are you here?
Well,
But-
because history repeats itself. Like
And then he would,
this
yeah.
9/11
well, that's
was
a good
like
point.
was like the fifth 9/11 we've had.
That's
And they used
true.
to happen in medieval Europe.
Yeah. And he's just been giving stump speeches to teenagers at my high school for over a decade and begging their parents for money. And he's attained, he's black, but he, over the last decade, wormed himself into this role of being the black guy that the rich white parents of St. John students could invite to their dinner party so they could say racist things and be like, right, Wesley? And he'd be like, yep.
That's a lucrative
And-
position to be in.
Yeah.
It's very lucrative.
And he ran for Congress and lost like 2 or 3 times, so he moved to a different district and ran for that one, and now he's a congressman.
Ugh.
Is he not a donor to the school?
Wesley Hunter donor to the school?
Yeah.
If he is,
No,
it's
I'm
just
sure
to get
he's
his name on
taking-
a brick somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure he's taking all that money for his campaigns.
Yeah, he takes money from the parents at the school. Like that's
Mm.
his whole grift.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
He's
If
cool.
you want to be a congressperson, that's the way to do it.
And I don't.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't think
really
he's ever
don't.
like had a job. Like, I mean, he went to West Point and then he was in the military, and since then, I think he's been professionally running for Congress.
Ugh,
Sounds terrible.
That's the thing.
what a
Sounds
nightmare.
what a horrible existence.
I don't even
Honestly.
want to be. I don't even want to be like a stand-up comedian because you have to like promote yourself too much.
I didn't wanna be a
Imagine like
stand-up
running
comedian.
for Congress.
A nightmare.
Yeah.
I would be Joseph Kaplan says Zach would be a great congressman.
I mean, and we all know, Zach, you just win.
Interesting.
Maybe you should.
Yeah.
feel
My
like Zach-
father.
I feel like
has
you'd
run for
win
office
without.
3 times.
What's
What?
that?
My father's run for office 3 times and lost every time.
What was the experience
Uh,
like?
Which office and why?
State assembly was the biggest one, and then
Okay.
local offices in my hometown. My dad is a taciturn, wildly lefty guy who, I mean,
Probably would be
he's-
great at
he's-
policy.
he'd be incredible at the job and is unelectable because
Yeah.
if the job is go talk to a Rotary Club,
Game over.
yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's gonna walk out with more enemies than before.
well, that's sort of the problem with
Politics.
elections,
Yeah.
is we have them in this country. Not really,
Yeah.
not really electing people who are good people or capable people. We're electing the ones who are best at winning elections.
The electable,
Yeah.
yes.
Good old fashioned monarchy. But only
That's
with,
what I'm saying.
with some hot, smart royals.
What happened to a good old fashioned enlightened monarch, like
I
a good
guess-
old Frederick II?
A good old a benevolent dictator.
Yeah,
No,
we
no,
used
no,
to have
no, no.
kings like I don't know, like Justin the Good, right? Like that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Where's
Yeah, what
Justin the Good at?
What happened to the good old days of Ethelred the Unready?
Or giving these sort of like incredible descriptive sobriquets to our leaders. Why don't we do that anymore?
Yeah,
Why-
that's true.
we
should
should.
start doing
We
that.
should because it kind of locks you into a thing. You know,
Right?
if your brand was you were good for the people, if you like accidentally did something that was really good for the people and you became like Justin the kind, then
like-
you have to be like, well, I gotta do kind stuff.
Or like
you know?
Tricky Dick.
Tricky Dick. Then you
Yeah.
yeah. Come on, these are fun. We should do those more. But
do-
I specifically mean it as a way of psychologically manipulating our leaders into
They're like-
doing better.
Kamala the Bland.
Mm.
And what would that sort of be attempting to achieve, Sarah? What would be the goal there with that sort of label?
To me, the goal would be I wanna make it less appealing for Democrats to just like toe the
Make no choice.
acceptable party line, the choiceless,
Mm.
polled platform, and you could say like Alexandria the Bold.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay, I'm into that.
Bernie. Oh, we lost you.
Oh,
Clint.
Clint, you're mute. You're muted or you're quiet.
No, you're just audio gone. You're neither muted nor quiet. We've just lost your.
We just lost your
microphones
audio.
somehow.
Oh my god.
Oh, boy.
It's a
Figured out it was
hyper-localized-
physically unplugged. Wow.
Am I back?
Yay!
Yes.
Guys, you missed it. What I said was great.
What was
What'd
it?
you
Please,
say?
Please,
I don't know.
Oh no.
Clint, please. We're gonna wait.
If you were in the room with Clint when he said it, type in the chat what he just said.
Yeah.
because We didn't hear it.
Clint the quiet.
Clint the quiet.
silent.
Clint the oh no!
Clint the prop comedian.
How low does it go?
It goes really, I think it's more how tall is the desk.
Oh my god.
It's a tall desk.
It's
Yeah.
a really tall desk.
Oh, that's
Wow.
great.
Wait, was it the desk going up, not the chair going down?
So yeah, there's a hole just below my desk that.
Well, hold on,
descended
because I
into.
have a chair that
Hey.
will go down a little bit. That's not that insane to say. Mary Lou also does.
I went down 2 inches on a guitar.
That was it. And it's too short.
Yeah,
So-
you fully haunted mansion elevated me just now, Clint. I did
that was
not
Yeah,
know
I totally thought
what
it was
was
a
going
chair.
on.
I thought it was an electric chair
I
thing.
thought
I
it
thought it
was
was like
it.
some sort of Professor X cool motorized chair.
Yeah. Instead, it was a standing desk. Now I'm mad.
Now I'm mad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nothing Professor X about it.
I want a
Guys,
standing
I
desk,
got-
but they're all ugly.
Professor X would never use a
Not mine.
standing
Mine's
desk.
gorgeous. Come on over. I'll show you.
Oh, okay, for sure. I will check it out.
I gotta go.
Get out
Uh,
of here.
What?
But
Okay.
I got a meeting. But
Yeah.
Fine.
Well, later I'll tell you about the idea that I had.
great. On my way out, I will let you talk about things that I'm into.
Okay.
Just so I can
Everyone. Oh,
listen. I talk about.
All right, everyone. Say goodbye
No,
to.
that doesn't
Strangers
feel fair. That
What?
feels like such an unbelievable
Hades 2
blue
early
ball.
access.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Hades
Lost
early
Bye,
access.
Clint.
all of it except for Hades 2 early access, which I assume is what you were talking about.
Yep.
Bye, Clint.
Bye, Clint.
Goodbye forever.
Everyone say sayonara to Clint the Glitch.
Clint has been playing Hades 2 early access for a long time.
Since
Like
before
since it was
Hades 1.
available.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He loves it, and I know he loves it. That's that's what I know about.
All right, let's mix up the energy.
Whoa! Wow! That was crazy. Wow!
Guys, what's going on? What's up with you? I feel like now that Clint's gone, we can really be honest with each other.
I'm
We
just
can really be honest with each other.
stop thinking about and playing the game Blueprints.
All right.
What's that?
Give
I'm
it to us.
Googling it.
Okay, Blueprints, spelled like the color and then the royal title, is a game about blueprints, the thing that the homonym for like drafted architecture. SideQuest is playing it too. It is okay. I'm going to try to describe it because it's sort of a trip. Blueprints is a game in which you inherit your great uncle's house. He has a 45-room mansion, and his whole estate will be yours on the condition that you find the 46th room of his 45-room mansion. The way that the game works is that it is a roguelite wherein like every day the house resets and you have like blueprints for different rooms of the house. And you have to draft them in such a way that you are making a map from the room where you start to where you sort of suspect the 46th room is going to be. And there's like 45 rooms that can pop up that make it harder or easier for you to get there. Some rooms have puzzles that when you solve them, you get gems. You can use gems to buy better rooms. Some rooms are locked with keys. Some rooms seem to do nothing. Some rooms are only bad, it seems like. Some rooms are only good. And as you sort of start playing this game, you start to realize that there's like 2 or 3 other layers that this game is introducing to you about like your family and why it's called Blueprints and who your uncle is and where your mom is or is not, and the sort of like geopolitical situation that you're talking about. This game at all spoils this game. So like,
Okay.
Yeah, stop
That's-
talking about it.
I will stop talking about it. Here's what I will say. From like a puzzle design standpoint, this game is up there with the 2 best other puzzle games I've ever played, which are Return of the Obra Dinn and Outer Wilds. This game
Yeah.
is very different than both of those games, but it is sort of like brilliant. You know those games where like you hit a point. I hit the credits of this game like 40 hours in, and I suspect there's another 100 hours of this game after that, which is to say the credits are not actually the end of the game.
Did
Like-
you know
Cool.
basically developed by one dude, apparently?
Yes. And it's this game is
I'm gonna fuck with that.
This game is radical. It's taken over I like have had dreams about this game, trying to figure out what to try next to like unlock whatever next thing. It's I need to finish it so that I don't have to think about it or play it anymore. But
Fair.
I'm in a zone where like I don't want to like look it up. I want to just solve it. Because
Yeah.
it also does a very cool thing of like, there are puzzle games that are so hard and you would need to basically Google it unless you were a kind of
Yes.
genius, which I am not.
Yes, I hate those
Oh,
games.
what was that? You are me too. Do you remember? You are Baba is you. Do you remember Baba is you?
Oh, Baba is You was a very tricky game for stuff like that.
There were a
This-
few of them that was
this-
like, this isn't fun.
This game puts the answers to the puzzle in the game, usually like 3 or 4 places, but you do have to solve something to get to like it is
What
up to
kind of puzzles? Like, how much is this point and click stuff? How much is it like drag the pipe cleaner to the vent to move the key, like old school Flash shit? And how much is it more like riddles and anagrams,
yes.
or is it both?
Okay.
Like unfortunately, yes is the answer.
All
to
of
that.
the above.
It's not a lot of like brute force. It's not like King's Quest, like add key to thing, do this, except that there are like 12 items in this game, and there is a workshop that lets you combine them into other things, and it doesn't tell you what they are, except that like by trial and error, it does tell you like just put stuff together, see what happens. It's mostly riddles though, Sarah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
remember-
I
Because
love riddles.
I hate.
Oh, I love riddles.
I always hated games like the clicky puzzle games where it was like I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I
This-
spent 15 minutes, couldn't get through that room, and my
This
friend
ga-
would be like, oh, you didn't
You
like.
just got to do this thing. This game does hide things in the rooms, but it tells you where those things are with puzzles. It is
Okay.
not. It is mostly not requiring you to like search around endlessly to like and randomly try to click on stuff to find
Good.
it. Except that it does have some rooms that like if you spend long enough in them, you'll be like, what the fuck is this little post-it note that's put here? Oh, this is a clue on it for something that I encountered hours ago. Like this game is maddening, and what I would say is like a very fun way, but you do have to sort of like it does require some of your time.
I don't mind. I play games because I like that they absorb all my attention. I like the ADHD. Like I like to be able to focus on one thing at a time. It's very comforting. Yeah, I like to zoom in, and so that shit sounds awesome.
Is it a game I could play while listening to a depressing podcast?
No, it requires your full attention.
Great.
Like sound? It has sound.
No, not really. Although it does have a dope soundtrack.
Okay, so if sound isn't part of it, why can't I play it while listening to a depressing podcast?
You should stop listening to depressing podcasts.
Then how will I
Yeah.
know
Nice
about
sort
what's
of-
going on in
nice-
the world?
It will come to you. Jesus, you don't think that you're gonna find out?
You're gonna find out.
You're gonna find out.
I don't think ever. I think if that's how everyone operates, then people find out too late, and then we end up in crumbling democracies and ascending fascist authoritarian regimes.
Well, that's why I'm on Twitter and you yell at me. So
Because Twitter. Okay, Mary Lou, there's no such thing as Twitter anymore, and you have to accept
Yes.
it. There is only Elon Musk's X.com.
it's Twitter and it's mine. I was there first, and he can't kick me out.
Well, he literally can kick you out if he wants to because he owns it because it's not a public
I'll always come
conversation
back.
space.
Pretty sure
I'll
we
always
can't,
come back.
can't
I am
kick you out
inevitable.
from we can't kick you out from Twitter because
That's
Everyone.
true. Because again, you've been kicked out from Twitter. You haven't accessed
Yeah.
Twitter in months,
No, Twitter. You know where Twitter is? It's right here.
and that is so
Twitter's
sad
here.
for you.
It's always
I'm
with me.
so sorry. You're
It's-
scarred, is what
it's
I'm
here
hearing.
for me because I have the blue bird tattooed on my heart.
Yeah.
On my
exactly.
heart, not on my skin.
Mm-mm.
No, I have no,
Yeah.
I have no tattoo on my skin. It's on my
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
inside.
And the surgeon
Yeah.
was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "You
Do
want me
it.
to let the tattoo artist in here because we don't generally let them in here."
Yeah.
And I said,
"No,
if you
I
don't,
say-
I will
burn down the
blow up the
hospital." yeah.
hospital. Yeah.
I
And
actually
they said,
I've
"Okay."
never seen the Twitter bird tattoo on my heart. I woke up one day and a man was standing over me and he said, "I just tattooed a bird on your heart, and you have no way to know without opening up your own chest and looking at it." And that's just sort of been with me.
Yeah, same.
And I said, thank you so much. I've always wanted a bird on my heart. I don't need to check because I believe. I have faith.
Oh, which podcast are we talking about?
Don't encourage her.
I listen
No.
to no, the good ones, like the good ones to listen to. They're only depressing because the world is depressing. They're not like people trying to depress you. They're actually
Okay,
people
I have
trying
to check because you do consume a fair amount of far right wing media as
I
quote,
don't listen
market
to no.
research.
I don't listen to right-wing podcasts.
Not yet.
I listen to anarchist podcasts, and
Good.
many of those episodes are about like they're anarchist leftist journalists talking about their research into far right people. I'm at least that step removed.
Okay,
Totally
cool.
different. It's stochastic research.
And none of these, you don't. There's no like grain of hope in any of these. It's just
No.
depressing.
There's a lot of grains of hope, but they're grains of hope like
On a beach of depression.
well, they're grains of hope that exist. Like it's just a completely different ideology than the kind of hope that like a Democrat would be looking to go find. Like it's more like
Sure.
here's hope for humanity. Like this is our hope about human nature and the opportunities that we have to build a better world together through mutual aid and blah blah blah. But it's not like, oh guys, we actually think Kamala's gonna win because of this poll. So it depends on what you mean by hope. But there's a lot of opportunity for agency in the world.
There we
that they
go.
offer. Margaret Killjoy, who
Your
one of the most
favorite.
popularizers of the Association of Agency and Hope, Agency is Cure to Despair, is one of the co-hosts of all these podcasts. It Could Happen Here is a great one.
Mhm.
Started years ago before, it happened here, but that's still the name of the
Mhm.
podcast.
I
That one's
don't
great.
enjoy her speaking style, but I do enjoy the things that she says.
So her podcast is cool people who did cool stuff, which looks at like a lot of like queer and leftist and like other groups of oppressed peoples, people who have tried to make the world better in various times and contexts in history. That's focused on like good people trying to make the world a good place. I listened to Some More News, which I was like honestly, I listen to a lot of like former cracked writers who've pivoted into doing
Yeah.
journalism and news. Some More News, Cody Johnson, Katie Stoll. It Could Happen Here is Robert Evans. Those cracked writers they're doing cool stuff. But anyway,
Yeah,
those are my
I
main
miss
ones.
Cracked. Cracked was great.
Yeah.
I don't have a relationship with Cracked.
Oh,
No?
Not really.
I loved Cracked.
It seems like something you and Jess would have like written for in 2015, 2016.
I think
They were at the height of like listicles, right? But they were
Yes, I
actually
sort of-
really good.
Yeah, I recall them having still. I feel like their stuff will like pop up from time to time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Not
maybe
quite.
That's,
That's a
not
zombie
quite
crack.
the same. It's a zombie. Yeah,
Right.
a little.
Yeah.
it's like when Onion articles resurface again because they're like unfortunately timeless.
Yeah. Cracked was a casualty of that whole 2016, 2017 pivot to video
Pivot
thing
to
that
video.
killed College Humor.
Mm.
Same shit. Like all the Cracked got bought out. All the people who'd worked there and made it Cracked were fired.
A lot of those companies are, well, not all of them, but some of them are trying to like their deals that they struck that sold them off to other bigger companies are like ending, or some of those companies are going away, and some of them are buying those companies back.
That's interesting.
Which is I think we're about to see a weird wave of like that's still around. Like I know that I think Funny or Die is weirdly about to relaunch.
Yeah. I feel like
Right?
Smosh,
Yeah, I guess it's been 10 years since 2015 pivot to video, so maybe that was
Smosh was kind of, in my mind, maybe the first of that, I guess, a wave, because
resurgence.
Smosh like was bought by a big corporate YouTube conglomerate, and then Rhett and Link of Good Mythical Morning, I think, like repurchased it and helped Anthony and Ian like repurchase Smosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Then they've been pretty good at turning themselves into a little dropouty kind of vibe. I mean, they're really successful.
Super successful.
Yeah. So good for them. Good for comedians. You know what? I think comedians are going to save us. I don't know if y'all remember like Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert.
You think they're the truth tellers we need?
I think I think if your society is at a point where the only people who are able to like kind of do the news are actually comedians on late night shows, that's actually a good sign of how healthy your society has become,
Mm.
and you're destined for good things.
I know you're not serious. I also am I'm struggling to find like like what do we want? You know what I mean? Like
I-
do we not want those anymore? Do we want them plus like a normal functioning news society?
Yeah,
This is
that
That one.
like
I think the problem, I like the reason Daily Show and Colbert Report became so popular is because it felt like they were the only people who like were willing to say things that were true, that the corporate news media, the apparent, like, the individual journalists were great, but by the time it like got to TV or in print, it had been so filtered and died down by layers
sure.
of quick corporatocracy
Or
that
sort of like
it became meaningless.
both
Both
sides
sidesism.
by a yeah. I agree.
And I
It's just
think
like I don't know where that stuff fits in the current media landscape of like news existing mostly through Facebook and Instagram and
Mm.
TikTok. I mean, not that it only exists there, but I'm just trying to think of like how your average person consumes information these days.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think journalists remain very important.
God, yes. I'm just like I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know how we platform them properly.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I'm just, that was like a starting point. I'm like, yeah, obviously we need journalists because comedians are really good at getting platforms and spreading
Mhm.
stuff, but comedians also aren't like necessarily trained journalists who,
right. Nor do we want nor should we like demand that they be, right? Like this is
This
the
this is the point that I was
yeah.
thinking to myself while we were talking about it is there's like a sort of common response that I see sometimes on the internet of people being like, it's great that you can do your like fun little project, but like thousands of people are dying in Gaza every day. It's like nice that you're making your funny little videos. And it's like you could say that about Monet, right? It's nice that you painted your little water lilies, but you know, a generation of young men just died in
if
World War I.
we're only going to make things that are fun and joyful when there isn't like a sort of like horrific genocidal crisis happening somewhere on the planet, then we're never actually going to make anything, which is a bummer.
Yeah,
Like not to say that it's not horrible. We shouldn't do things to fix the
and we
problem,
should.
but like
We
we
should be
can't.
doing things about it and using our platforms, but also like it's
But
also
kind of,
okay.
but Mary Lou, but like, do we need? I don't, in the same way that I don't need. Remember when like Chick-fil-A got in hot water a while back for having like a shitty CEO who was like very anti-gay? And
I don't
was
eat Chick-fil-A.
no, neither do I, because
Yeah.
of this thing that happened. But
Yeah.
like this was part of the like corporations deciding that they need to like pick a side in politics, which
Yes.
there's the two sides of it. And the one is like, I guess I do want to know if I'm giving my money to someone that is horrible. Also, I don't need to know what Oreo's politics are. I don't need for Oreo to take a political stance because the only thing I
Because
actually
Oreo
want,
shouldn't be able to affect my politics.
correct.
That
Like the
much.
company shouldn't like putting that aside that like the corporation shouldn't be able to get
Yeah.
to political things, and that's where it gets messy and all tied up. But like I don't need to know the politics of people that I don't go to for political opinions. Like
Except, Zach, like, the problem with the Oreos example is that you very much, like, we, maybe not as individuals, but we as a society making decisions do very much need to know Oreo's politics, actually.
well, if that's the case, then no one can buy anything because like the vast majority of the products that we receive are like owned by a very tiny amount of corporations, and like short of only getting everything you ever need at a farmer's market, like I don't know how to be an ethical
But it depends on
consumer.
what you're asking for. Like, are we trying to design ideal society, or are we talking about what we as individuals do now, where we are now? Because the only reason that's the case, that everything is owned by a tiny group of corporations, is because they've been allowed to amass that power over the last century of like gobbling up every other competitive factory.
Yeah, and
And
if I
that's,
could flip a switch and make that not the world that we currently live in, then that would be great. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't push towards a world in which that isn't the case, but I also think we do need to, like, you know, day to day live in the world that we have.
yeah. But I think it's also possible to inhabit like the dissonance. I buy and eat Oreos, But I still want to know, like, if the Nabisco company is getting all of their chocolate from child slaves in Ghana. Like,
Yes,
I do want to know that.
I do too. And
And
I'll
I might
stop. And
still, I might even still buy and eat Oreos because I'm like not a perfect moral agent and I'm addicted to processed sugars. But like, I need to know that despite loving Oreos as a food, so
I
that when
think
someone comes through and is like, we need to regulate companies like Nabisco, then
this
my
is
reaction is but I love cookies.
for sure. And I think this has gotten a little bit disambiguated from what I actually wanted to talk
Yeah.
about, which was
I think what
comedians and political
Right,
standpoints.
right. I know.
Yes, I think what might make a better example is a little while ago, a few weeks ago, Chapel Roan got in a bunch of hot water because in an interview she said like, "Why are you asking? Why are you asking my political opinions? Like I'm a pop star,
Hmm.
I shouldn't have to like tell you my political opinions, and also you shouldn't be coming to me for my political."
And that's
opinion.
the main one that I think is real.
And yeah, and people gotten a lot of people. Oh, so many people got so mad at her. They're like, "You have this platform. How dare you try to be apolitical and out of politics?" And that's not what she was saying at
Right.
all, because she's continuing to be very open with her politics. But it was more that like, you shouldn't come to me for those. I'm gonna have mine.
Yeah.
But
Not
that's
that they're
not what
not-
I'm here
not
for.
that they're
I'm
not
here for
important.
pop.
Yeah, not that the work's not even political, but like if you are getting your entire like voting advice from Chapel Roan, you are doing it wrong because you should be going to her for awesome music. And like
John
if you
Peavy is right about this.
Unions are for commie pinkos. We
and-
love commie pinkos.
And I know that John Peavy is right about this because John Peavy is a person I know in real life, and he's spent many years of his life as a full-time labor organizer, so he knows what he's talking about.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Chapel Roan gets taken out of context a lot because of her tone. It is like very puts a lot of meaning in her words, and when you see them written out, it doesn't sound at
Yeah.
all like how she says things in real life.
Chapel Roan also has a brand of mean lesbian in a way that she is like leaned into, which is great, but she is experiencing the same like unfair media like she is not
Backlash.
this isn't exactly like the Britney Spears. I think we are treating her better than we treated Britney Spears, but like
Yeah.
that doesn't mean we're treating her well.
Yeah.
Like she's still under the sort of microscope that we as a country love
Right.
to put, particularly
She's also like
young
what,
women.
25?
God,
But
she's a baby. Yeah,
She's
exactly.
a baby.
Right.
And
But
all she was really saying is that like, I'm gonna be doing my thing and I'm gonna say my shit, but like you shouldn't be basing your politics off of mine.
Right. She's saying I'm not an expert in politics. I'm a pop star.
Correct.
Like my opinion shouldn't carry more weight than
Correct.
any other person
I-
you ask on the street.
And I think that point is so unbelievably salient.
But I think there's like two things that I think are, I guess if we're going to talk about Chapel Roan, I would want to know, because if I were a fan of Chapel Roan and I found out that she'd voted for Trump, I would stop listening to her. Like that would make it
Yes.
so that I could not enjoy her music.
For sure.
I don't
Yeah,
need
absolutely.
to know like what she says about if she's like, I don't know anything. I'm like, that's fair. I'll still listen to you.
But like,
Um,
there's a dial, right? Because
course.
like voting for Trump implies a bunch of other stuff.
Yes.
Where I feel like the left starts to eat itself is when you find someone that you like that aligns with you on 99% of things, but they have one, and sometimes the one is a big thing and it's a deal.
And sometimes the one is disqualifying, but
and that's totally fine. But like sometimes it's not, and it's for a person that's not a politician, and it's like, well, this person doesn't align with me 100% on my worldview, so we won't even build a bridge here.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger enemy over here.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
think there's a general problem on the left of it's just that it's not even a left problem. It's just the manifestation within the left of the kind of binary thinking and black and white thinking and like moral categorizing that drives the right as well. And that's just what it looks like on the left. The original like conversation though, I think this is interesting, but the original stuff was like, Zach, you were asking, well, what do we want? Like, we kind of want both. It's
Well,
lovely to have the Daily Show. and it's not that performers have to share their politics. It's like I think it's interesting to look at the ones who choose to, like John Oliver, Daily Show, Colbert Report. Like these are political comedy shows. These are
Right.
Mhm.
comedy news shows.
Overtly, they are
Eh,
trying
yeah.
to do both. They're basically trying to do politics through the lens of comedy.
I feel like
Actually,
they're also
they're
trying to do the news. Like they're trying to be
sorry.
like
Yes, that's what I meant.
yeah, both. I mean, politics gets inseparable from news because it's
Everything is
it's
political.
life. um, yeah, and I do think like it was not evaluated enough, or and this might not be something that anyone will understand until a historian looks back at this era of history in like 500 years or whatever. But like the fact that those things felt like something that not only could emerge, but that like were so craved and like had such cultural cachet and importance,
Mm.
I just think is really revealing about what was otherwise missing in this society. Like why was there such a void that the Daily Show, this comedian Jon Stewart, who wasn't an expert in anything, could
Mhm.
find himself filling?
That's
And you think it was
yeah.
just sort of like a lack of candor about the situations that we were in by the people that were reporting our like news?
Yeah, I think it felt like you watch, I think you would watch the news at that time and it would be or like any it's the same thing with it's the same problem we have with news today. It hasn't changed. Like I don't know if y'all saw that clip of there was like an Arab woman in New York, in Brooklyn, who was walking. Have y'all not seen that clip?
Mm-mm.
Is this the one where is this the Israel thing?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Where a
she's an
bunch of
Arab.
like Orthodox Jews are like following her around being real aggressive.
Yes, there's an Arab woman. There had been a protest, a pro-Palestine protest at the Israeli embassy,
Mhm.
somewhat nearby that day. This woman had not been part of it. She just lived in the neighborhood and was like walking home, and this mob of hundreds of these like ultra orthodox dudes were not just following her, but like throwing shit at her,
They were being physical, yeah,
trying
extremely.
to kick her, trying to push her down, chanting shit like "Death to Arabs! You are a waste of semen." Uh, while and like that
Orthodox
was
people are so
while they
fucking
knew they were
weird.
being filmed, and while an NYPD officer was actively escorting her because she was in danger, they were still like throwing trash cans at her and shit, and at the police. Um, like the clip is terrifying,
Yeah,
and
that's so scary.
yeah, and the way it gets reported in the New York Times, the headline is it's like the classic New York Times thing. It's like two women harassed at like
At
anti-Israel
pro-Palestine,
protest
yeah.
or
Mhm.
whatever.
Despite
You
the fact
know?
that she wasn't at the protest.
Wasn't at the protest.
Like this is just
Right. And it doesn't even say like who's doing it. It doesn't like get any at all into the extent of it. And I'm sure the journalists writing the original articles and doing the research were horrified. We're trying to be good. It's just by the time it gets filtered through so many
whoever
layers
wrote
of
the headline.
editorial
Yeah.
and like moneyed interests, it
Mm.
becomes nothing. And when you see that coming from the supposedly liberal leftist commie New York Times, like where do you go? Who do
I
you
mean,
Yeah.
trust?
I don't
You
think
find
anyone thinks that anymore, right? Like that feel like that cachet has been lost in the last like
but people on the
40
right,
Not to the right.
Right.
To people on the right, the New York Times is a lib rag.
but I think that's been the case the whole time. Like the way that the Iraq War was being reported on, the way that like anything has been reported on in this country is like they're so worried about. I think it's because all those guys making those headlines are like rich and friends with rich people and like friends with politicians.
Oh yeah.
And so they don't want to like offend their friends. So it's
Their
the most
friends.
milquetoast neutral headlines ever
And
that
the,
end up
and the most
ve-
sort of blatant like version of it is where you see like headlines or articles get pulled because of who owns
Yeah.
the paper.
right. Or
Mhm.
any of the New York Times is reporting on trans stuff in the last decade that has led us to where we
It's
are
been-
today. Pushed
yeah.
by the New York Times and the Atlantic, publishing op-eds and articles like are we not paying enough attention to the transgender epidemic infecting our children? Or like shouldn't we be more worried about trans people in sports? And it's like that kind of shit that's how can you trust the news And that's like people go to shit like Jon Stewart Last Week Tonight or me with my podcast. I get all my news from podcasters, most of whom were
Sure.
former online comedy writers at this point.
Mhm.
And then like I'll check what they say by going through and reading articles on real news websites, but I'm not going to get any valence from those websites.
Right, because all this
Mhm.
stuff is like, the traditional news media, in an effort to sort of like cling to any semblance of market share, has, transformed into the 24-hour news cycle where it's all run on fear. They have to keep
Yeah.
your eyeballs, and the only way that they can do that is by doing the most like rage baity, fear mongering coverage of
What's up, Sean? Welcome to the comedy show Chill Touch.
Keep going, Zach. You were saying about fear and the 24-hour news cycle.
Anyway, I've never been afraid of anything in my life, and everything's good. Yeah, but I think that that's why, right? It's like it
Mhm.
has been. It has. The news seemed like, had the appearance of, for a long time, being this place where like the rails were sort of on, and it seemed like it was like a thing that you can trust, and
Trust.
that trust has just been eroded so crazily and faster and faster over the last however many years.
Mhm.
To say nothing of like then it's pushing people to like get their news on the internet in various ways and its various levels of accuracy. Because if you told people that the only way to get accurate news is to get it from a podcast, we are fucked.
Oh, yeah.
Because people don't, and they won't, because they're going to their job that doesn't pay them enough by design, and it keeps them like in a place of scarcity by design, and doesn't allow them the sort of extra time or money to research these things thoroughly and separately. And that is, I think,
Yeah.
the problem. Because like if good information is going to remain a privilege of those who have like the time and resources to seek it out,
And the education to be able to recognize it,
Right.
which increasingly no one in this country has because
Mhm.
education is being destroyed.
and no one has media literacy that is sort of adequate to respond to
Yeah.
how fast the internet's changed.
My favorite modern philosopher, C.T. Nguyen, who I quote him in everything I do these days. He wrote a big thing on the philosophy of games. That's a big part of my one woman show. But he has a separate
It's fascinating.
area of research and that he writes about. It's called like hostile epistemology, and it's the like philosophical questions around like how do we know who to trust? How can we know like what is good faith, what is bad faith? How do people convince us of things that aren't true, and how can we recognize that? And he talks about this idea that really worries him, that he's like, I don't have an answer to this, but this is the problem I see. It's paradox of the expert. How is a non-expert supposed to pick between two people claiming to be experts? Because like the only way to evaluate two experts who are each saying different things is to be an expert at that field.
Or at least have the education to be able to trust that you're. Well, and I think everyone has that, right? Like everyone is making that call. So,
All the time. But when you have
so
two doctors in the middle of COVID, when you have two doctors and one is saying like, no, these vaccines are safe and for whatever reason, and one is saying these are not safe for this other reason, and you have no medical training, at a certain point, it's kind of like the one you believe is going to come down to social conditioning, like getting lucky, like having it's going to come down to instinct that was raised over a lot of time, but there's no way to really know.
some of it, but there's ways to check, right? Like if you knew that like what like climate scientists, right?
Right.
Like
big
we
one,
had
huge one.
we had some experts saying this, and then we had a lot of experts saying something else. So there was like a propensity of numbers of people being like climate change is real, and then a couple people that would show up on news and be presented as like two sides because they had to get someone that was anti this. But like anyone that was paying a decent amount of attention was like, no, almost everyone is saying this.
But that
I
Yeah,
also
right.
think about the Bible, like people reading the Bible.
Well, I think we all think about the Bible.
I think we're all
a lot
thinking about the
every
Bible.
day.
I've got one
Sorry,
right here. Callback.
biblical scholars talk about the criterion of embarrassment,
Hmm.
which is like things are more likely to be true in the Bible if whoever was writing it down or depicting it had no reason to lie. Like there's the example that I'm thinking about
That's
that
so
was just talked
interesting.
about lately was that there was this a story told in the Bible about how Jesus went into an olive orchard and looked for some olives on the tree, and there were no olives because it's not olive season. And Jesus said to the tree, I curse you and you will bear no fruit forevermore. And that tree never bore fruit again. And it's like that story's like pretty embarrassing that Jesus was like, I'm gonna get some olives, and then there wasn't any because it's not olive season. And then he was like, fuck you, tree.
You're cursed. Like,
That's embarrassing.
Probably not true.
But do we think it's true, Mary Lou, that that tree then was cursed and didn't bear olives?
No, that's probably not true, but that's I guess the idea is that like whoever wrote down that story,
Right.
they would have no reason to
No,
include that story
Yeah.
if it was just like hyping him up, right? So it's also
an
known as the
interesting-
hermeneutics of suspicion.
It's an interesting idea that also comes into play in American law too, if you're trying to decide like whether or not you can bring in hearsay or whatever. Like,
Does what you're saying
Yes.
benefit you or who you're talking about in some way?
yes.
And then you can think about those climate scientists. It's like, yeah, okay, everybody is saying there's a climate emergency, but these guys are saying that there isn't. But even if that's not enough for you, these guys that are saying it's not a climate emergency, have they recently taken large sums of money from oil and gas companies?
But how do you know that they did? Like, the problem is
They
it
don't
goes
know.
way back to like even where you get your information. Like, that's why it
Yeah.
comes down to how problematic it is to lose like traditional media as a shared institution. Is like, I don't know whether they got those because someone else over here is telling me that those climate scientists saying global warming is real are getting all their money from George Soros.
Right.
And then
but
I
that-
just
but
have to
that's what
pick
I mean is
between
like
these two podcasters.
right. So
Right.
in a sense, everyone is picking a third party to sort of
Mhm.
filter stuff for them, right? Like
Right.
in a world where it was the traditional news, in theory, whoever was programming the news and whoever was getting guests for the show, like as a society, we trusted those people to put good information in front of us.
Right.
I think and a lot of the times I think they got it right. And then some of the times they didn't with some super big ones. And with those people's removal, individuals are being forced to do that and are increasingly less qualified to do so, which I get why that would
Yeah.
freak
And
whoever
and
came
they're
up
being
with this out.
and the other problem with the thing like the criterion of embarrassment or like any device we as individual non-experts have to try to evaluate the expert is that depends on our ability to like put ourselves into the imagined mind space of a person we don't know. Like, you could say a similar distortion of that exact logic is why so many Trump supporters have spent a decade saying like, well, he's a billionaire, he has no reason to be corrupt. And it's like that's their twisted form of that. Is
Right.
like,
Which
I'm
is
thinking
a
about who benefits here. He's a billionaire. There's no reason. He doesn't have to benefit. You know.
right.
Right.
Which clearly, obviously, like he's not, and is extremely like depending on what year you check, is in desperate need of money and or in legal trouble. So like some of that stuff falls apart with under close scrutiny.
Or, but even if he is a billionaire, like billionaires pursue money in like for its own sake. Like, it's not a
Mhm.
question of need in the way that we normal people understand it.
Well, it's other kinds of need, right? It's not about like
It's an
Right.
emotional need.
Yeah. So like
Right.
that's the job of a trained journalist, is to be able to take a bunch of sources, evaluate their relative motivations, and compile like what is their best good faith effort of here's what I could compile as the closest approximation of truth I could get to via this research, and I'm going to tell it to you. And now we as individuals are being asked to play journalists for every single individual source on any given story,
Yeah.
which turns us into the constructors of our preferred realities.
right.
And like, so
I frequently, and this is maybe a little bit lazy, but I also don't know how anyone else like functions with the hours in the day that we have. Is like,
Yeah.
I think you have to. We don't. I don't have the time or knowledge to fully understand every issue 100%. Right, which is why when like
Literally
it's
no one
time,
does.
right. So when it's time to vote, I find like a guide that comes
voter
from
guide.
someone that I found that I've trust for the person that has done the research to like
Yeah.
tell me what to do. But
And
I
that
do,
voter guide's not going to come from a pop star.
right, and not only that, it's like you have to decide. You have to be okay with admitting that you're not going to know things, and find someone you trust to know them for you, which is like slippery, right? Because like, at what point do we stop trying, and at what point does our like civic duty as a
But-
well-informed
but
individual to do that?
that's
Like, there's
100%
a somewhere
true.
in the middle. Like,
That's 100. We all have to do that, and like that's what I'm saying. Like these podcasts I listen to are that for me, or like Chris Rell's voter guide. I follow Chris Rell. I've met Chris Rell. I've done mutual aid with Chris Rell. I've had conversations. Like I trust that he is at least making an honest, good faith effort and putting in work and is not trying to lie to me.
right.
Though of course he may get stuff wrong.
But
But-
these voter guides are like a great example too, because like you'll see like a bunch of far left voter guides come out around any Los Angeles election, and they will align on like 80% of stuff, and then with some like hyper local candidates, they will often be like, well, here's how this person voted at this point, but their opponent like did similar stuff, and we really don't know anything about them. So even the experts a lot of the time are saying like, we don't have a good recommendation for this particular seat. Like a lot of the times you are just not going to know.
Yeah.
So we do need a system that functions. It can't be like
Well, it's why like the system we live in isn't like properly really called a democracy. Like democracy.
We're trending towards oligarchy, but
Well, but I don't even mean that. I mean like America has never been a democracy.
right. Even when it was
Like-
functioning perfectly as designed,
And not even from a question of corruption. It's just that like asking people to vote on representatives like this isn't classically like,
right. It's a representative democracy at best, and even then,
and that makes it imperfect. And like it's
perfectproduce.com sponsor our show.
imperfect produce. This is
Imperfect
all been an
produce.
Remember when we
agribusiness
were talking
market.
about cheese and
Yeah.
apples? That was a fun show.
yeah.
This is how Chill Touch always goes.
I
We
know.
start
Every
talking about
every time.
pigeon milk and the dumbest shit, and then we end up talking about the state of America and democracy.
Well, how could
Probably
we
because
not right now?
it's on our
Hermeneutic and suspicion
mind.
in the
Yeah, I
Bible.
was gonna
It would
say
be
like
because it would be at least for me, it would be me being dishonest. I can't go 2 hours and not be like,
No, I can't go 2 hours without talking about politics. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if either of y'all saw this, but on Sunday night, I posted a video on Instagram that was a 12-minute long video of me reading an Albert Camus essay that he wrote.
No, I did not see that.
I didn't
was-
see all 12.
it was
The
kind of an
algorithm did not provide your 12-minute.
That was kind of the
Camus
thing. It was
essay
kind of
to
an
me.
experiment because, like, obviously that's not algorithm-friendly content.
Mhm.
But I was reading this book of Camus essays called Resistance, Rebellion, and Death. Camus is not just a philosopher and novelist. He was like an active, very active resistance journalist in Nazi-occupied France. And he wrote these essays called Letters to a German Friend that have a lot to do with this, like this exact thing, what we're dealing with now. And I just read a video of myself reading one of the essays in its entirety. My instinct was find 3 minutes of it and post that. And then I was like, fuck that. Like Camus wrote a whole essay. I'm going to read it. It didn't reach y'all, but it reached a surprising amount of people. It
That's
got
great.
like thousands of views and hundreds of
Wow.
people liked it. And to me, that's like, yeah, people are hungry for long form nuanced shit right now. That's like real
Yeah.
and honest. And we're all like fighting against an algorithm designed to suppress that
Yeah,
because it's inherently anti-human. But
because it's harder to sell you something in the middle of a big long.
yeah, thank you,
Well
Joe.
thought out.
I love the essay too. In the essay, his main point, like, it's Camus writing to not Germans. It's a fake. It's an essay. It's not a real letter, but he's writing to like Nazism, and his main point is it's the fourth one. He's trying to evaluate like how did we diverge so much, because you and I both started from the same place of realizing the meaning we thought was in the world wasn't there after all. We both realized we'd been betrayed by the promise of truth that like had so long dominated European thought, and we were left in this place of nihilism. And the difference between us is that like you felt so strongly the injustice of that betrayal that you leaned into it, and your solution was to become an agent of that injustice, to revel in it, and decided there's no truth, there's no value, which means I can impose myself and create my truth. And like you decided there was no meaning, and so you treated everything as meaningless, even your fellow man. Whereas like and Camus was like, and at first we found that really hard to go against because we didn't have a good like rational argument to present you. We just had this strong intuition that like, no, justice still matters, humans still matter, but we can't articulate why yet. But because y'all were in this place, he says like, you had this advantage over us because for you killing was easy and for us it was still hard. And so you had this advantage at first. You swept through France because in this injustice, in this cruelty and despair, by embracing it, you had become merciless and we were not. And so we lost, and we lost France to you. But it's been 4 years since then. And now, like, that means 4 years of time in which we've had a chance to catch up and remember why we still love justice and why we still love humanity. And we finally had a chance to rediscover that and realize you didn't ever have an argument. All you had was this petty imposition. You hadn't found a new way of being a man within the nihilism. You'd rejected it and tried to become gods. And we are still here on Earth with our fellow men. And that's why we'll beat you. And he was writing this in July 1944. Like, yeah.
Oh my God,
and-
what a called shot in 44.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I might have to give The Stranger another chance. I famously hate that book.
Camus is amazing. And if you don't like his novels,
I hate nihilism, the idea of it in general, but like what he just said there is why
Yeah,
I
that's
hate nihilism. So
yeah, that's the thing. Camus is like, nihilism is a starting place. It's not an end place. If you allow it to be your end place, then you become a Nazi. Like
Yeah,
you become
that's-
Fox News. Like as much as the American right and Jordan Peterson and all these people criticize the left for being like postmodern neo-Marxists who hate the concept of truth, like they hate trans people because we're destroying truth or whatever, they're so happy and to willingly, knowingly construct these little isolated bubbles where they fabricate their own networks of truth. Like
of definitions and
they do it intentionally. Like they lie, they propagandize. They know that they're because they've so much killed truth, they've killed news, they've killed our access to dependable anything. They have become the architects of their truth, and they're trying to like force the rest of us to accept it.
Yeah.
But like I think part of the reason they've had so much success, just like what happened to France and Camus, like they didn't storm through us militarily, but I think people who are committed to nuance and understanding and are careful with the truth and value it, like we're slower to react. We are going to doubt ourselves in ways these people don't doubt themselves. And so they had this initial advantage. And my hope is we're at this inflection point where like the rest of us have had a chance to catch up. And like, I think most people actually do value humanity and truth and justice. I don't think most
I
people
do,
are bad. And I'm hoping like we're about to see a period where that can reassert itself over the fascist attempts to silence it. But it's just going to depend because they've been able to seize a lot of power to prevent that from happening. They're clearly scared of it.
Wow, you just made me a Camus fan. 33 years, or rather, okay, when was I? I was 17 when I read The Stranger and was like, fuck this, fuck you forever. So it's what,
16-year streak ended.
16 years. I've been anti.
You lost the game, and
I
now
lost.
you've won the game.
But now I've won. Interesting. I literally might have to reread The Stranger. I still fucking hate that book.
Read
I
his
hate how people
essays.
talk about
His
it.
essays are
Okay.
better than his novels because
Great.
Yeah, his essays.
I
he's
just
very
hated he
explicit.
killed a guy and then we never talked about that guy ever again, or his family, or the people who cared about him. We only talked about
Because that character Merceau,
Mary had to pump the brakes on herself.
that's the thing, Mary Lou. It's like
I get
Merceau.
worked up.
Merceau was a Nazi. Like what the
Yeah.
stranger is it's the story of this like guy living out all the pitfalls of nihilism and only realizing that he actually does value life and like want to rebel against the injustice of the universe instead of leaning into it when he's like looking at his own execution.
Yeah.
But he's not Merceau, the murderer, is not a good guy.
No, yeah.
This is like a warning tale. This is like, hey, everybody, this is who we might become as a society, and this is the realization we have to have about it.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't have to
the
like The
discourse around
Stranger.
it.
Read his essays.
don't.
Essays are better
I'll
than
read the essays.
novels because people are like direct about what they're saying. People are trying to get truth out of novels are just novels.
I love novels though.
I
But also
do.
there are no dragons or magic in it, and so I won't be reading
We
it.
must have read different The Strangers. Did you wait? Did you read L'Étranger or did you read Reincarnated as L'Étranger in Another World?
Or did you read Doctor Strange and
Oh.
Mr. Norrell?
I
Whatever
think
book
that's-
was called.
You're right.
Should I
That's
write
my bad.
Reincarnated as L'Étranger in Another World?
Yes, but you
Oh my
should,
God.
but as a manga.
Like
But you're the
Merceau-
gun or something. Like you're
Merceau-
reincarnated as the gun or the prison bars.
No, I think Merceau gets executed at the end of The Stranger, but then he wakes up and like a goddess is like, I think you've learned your lesson. Now
Do it
let's let you
again."
try again.
Sarah, you know that's literally a show, right? With a Marie Antoinette-esque character.
No.
Oh my God. Yes, there is a show. God, let me see if I can find
There
it.
is anime for
Wait,
everything.
is this one of the many villainesses shows? Or is it
Kind
different?
of, but yeah, I mean, yes, it is that. But like the villainess is like, she's Marie Antoinette. She's literally like, they don't call her that, but that's who she is. She is being hanged by, or no, sorry, it's a guillotine because I forget she talks to a guillotine later. There's like a comic
She
guillotine.
talks to a guillotine, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
because like there, she's in the day she's getting guillotined, and there's like a whole.
Sorry, yeah, you're right.
Yes, put it in Harry Potter fanfic where it belongs. The only canon Harry Potter material now is the fanfic.
Correct.
Okay, she gets guillotined.
Yes, and then as she does, she gets reincarnated to when she's like 12, like before the people have turned against the royal family, and she has her diary that she kept when she was in prison.
She's
She's the
herself.
yes. She gets
Oh.
reincarnated as herself, just like it's a reincarnated is the wrong word.
Yeah, it's a
She
time
gets
loop.
time jumped back to when
Yeah.
she's like 12, and she's like, okay, time to make systemic change from my position as a royal. So that
Oh.
initially she's like, so I cannot get guillotined again.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, let me find it.
That's
Anime
so fun.
That's okay, Minshew mustache
guillotine
sweat.
show French. It is called. Nope. Okay. Yes, it's called Tier Moon Empire. What is? Let me see if I find
I
the
mean,
actual title.
Of course it is.
Empire.
Tier
That's
Moon
something-
Teikoku Monogatari, Dan Todai Kara Hajumaru, Hime no Tensei Gyakuten Story.
Yup.
Yep. Yeah. That.
One.
That's right. Yeah, Tier Moon Empire. Selfish princess wakes
Oh
up
my-
after her own execution. Yeah, it's that
Oh
the
my
anime
God.
show.
Perfect.
But yeah, it is one of those.
Tier Moon Empire.
Yeah, Tier Moon Empire, y'all.
Now
that
we've
sounds
fully
way
done.
better
Now
than
we've gone
One
full
Piece.
circle in Chill Touch in our Chill Touch stream. Now we've really done it.
Yes.
No,
Wait, to go full circle. Zach, you're fucking ableist.
Out
I
of
missed
out of
Zach's
context, Sarah. This is a wild thing to say on an internet thing.
I didn't say out of context. I said going back full circle, so anyone who watched the whole stream would understand.
I don't know they would. I was marked as the ableist villain, I would say 3 seconds into the stream starting, for saying, if I
Wow.
recall, that the loading was taking too long.
Yes, that little loading intro is too long.
I don't
like
think
it.
it's too long, but I do think it's funny. Yeah,
Yes.
Joseph's been there the whole time, and he doesn't understand. So But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the villain is the answer to
Well,
this.
you know
I'm
what?
okay with
I think
that.
the villain is all of us, and if we can all accept that we're all a little bit the villain and have grace for each other, the world will be a better place.
But I'm reborn as a villainess, and I'm here to make changes and do things right this time.
Yep.
And also not fall in love with the prince because
And
it's the other guy.
Don't.
It's the
You know
other
what?
guy I love.
you know what I'm gonna say?
Ah,
What if, okay, reincarnated back on the same planet as literally everybody else in a continuing succession of reincarnations because there's only actually one person who's been everybody across all time.
Reincarnated is the one guy who's the only guy there is, and also sometimes he's not a guy.
Yeah, he's everybody.
Right.
Yep.
that has legs. That has
Sounds heady.
legs.
Yep. I think it's good. I think we're gonna get there. I think it's better than reincarnated as l'étranger in another world.
Who can say?
Who could say?
Y'all,
Je ne
thanks so much
sais.
for joining us here on
It's
Chill
been
Touch.
chill and it's been touched.
It's been somewhat chill.
It's not been
Some
that
of it
chill.
was chill.
I think it's
Some of
all-
it was tense,
It's been impressively chill given the context.
I think that's right.
given the horrors. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah,
chill,
yeah.
stay touched. I'm touching you.